Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Hey everybody, it's Jeff. Hope you're doing well today on a Monday. Really nice here in Bangor. It was sunny out but cold. I guess we got more sunny weather tomorrow, but the next day is probably going to be some snow coming our way. So that's what's happening around here weather-wise. You know, I gotta say something here, commentary. You know, I remember when I was going to school, and on TV sometimes they would have a commercial about encouraging kids to read more. And the schools, of course, were following suit by trying to encourage kids to read more. And was it last night I was watching television, and one of the commercials they had on there was about getting kids to read, and I'm thinking, you know, there's something, you know, they're missing here. Yeah, back in my day, okay, when there was no internet and there was no fucking technology like we got today, okay, encouraging kids to read was, yeah, I could understand. I mean, everybody, you know, people weren't really reading books and stuff like that like they are nowadays. But I was thinking, you know, the message is going to have to change here, because it's people are reading more than they ever have in my lifetime. And why do I say that? Because with the introduction of the internet, people have spent so much time with their eyes glued to the internet and their cell phones, you know, texting each other, reading what's online. They read more now than they ever do. They read all the fucking time. Everybody reads. Even I read more than I ever did, okay, because of the internet. What the message has to be now, okay, because the concern is there, is for people to read, yes, but also to read something intelligent, read something educational. That's what they need to stress now. It's not people need to read. It's what are you reading, okay? If you're reading garbage in, garbage out, remember? Okay, if you're reading garbage, then you're not going to be, you know, very intelligent, and no matter how much you read. But if you spend time reading literature, the classics, or something educational, okay, then that is quality reading, okay? So the message has to be encourage your kids to read quality things, okay, educational things, things that, you know, that it's not garbage, okay? Because yes, a lot of people are reading now than they ever have, but it's what they're reading that's not really helping matters any, because, I mean, the proof is in the pudding. Just look around you. Okay, people are reading all the time, but what are they getting out of it, okay? It's, you know, especially these chat rooms and stuff like that. I mean, what the hell are they really getting out of spending so much time reading people's bullshit comments, okay? So yeah, that's the message that needs to be altered here, because we got the people reading, but now we're not seeing intellectual levels rising. They're still dropping, and it's not from a lack of reading, it's what they're reading that's causing the problem. So I think schools and, you know, companies out there that are trying to get people to read, they're going to have to modify that that statement, you know, that they should be reading good things, you know, not garbage, what they see online. So I mean, you know, that's the thing that I you know was, it just kind of hit me, you know, a little bit, because you know they haven't changed the message in 40 years. Okay, they need to change it now in light of the way things are in society today. The other thing is this. You probably heard of it because it's been the headline here for the last 3 days. Is this merger here with Netflix and Warner Brothers? Okay, and it's like everybody, all the comments, everybody's up in the air over this. Okay, there's nobody saying anything good about the merger. Okay, and I'm like, so what? Okay, people are crying. There'll be fewer theaters around. It's like, good, because let me tell you something. Before this merger happened, okay, theaters were overpriced anyway. $25 for one person and food at the concession stand and a ticket just to go watch a fucking movie. Ridiculous. You pay less to buy the fucking movie on DVD when it comes out. All right, but that's ridiculous. The price in theaters has gone through the roof. And to me, the only time I want to go to a movie in the theater is if the movie would be better appreciated on a huge screen. I'm not going to go spend $25 to watch a goddamn Lifetime movie on a fucking big screen. Okay, I'm sorry. But it's just ridiculous how people, you know, they bitch about this. But think about how they're frivolously spending their money here. I mean, they spend money watching garbage in the theater, comedies, sitcoms, whatever the hell they put up there, okay? Most of the time the movies are playing and they ain't worth watching on a big fucking screen, okay? When there is a good movie that would qualify to be appreciated on a screen of that magnitude, okay, then that's the time to go buy your $25 ticket or whatever the hell it is to go sit and watch it. But in the meantime, you can wait for these other movies to come out to be released on DVD. All right? Now, if that means that revenues for these theaters will deplete because of the way people will you know, pick and choose what movies they feel they can spend the money for because, you know, whatever. Well, too bad. Okay, they needed to figure out ways to lower costs for these theaters here for years, and they never did. It just kept going up and up and up. Okay, I don't know why they never addressed that. I really don't understand it, but I think the days of the theater are coming quickly to an end because people can enjoy watching movies on a big screen if they want to go out and spend $700-800 fucking bucks on a flat screen monitor. Okay. They can bring that experience at home and watch it there, because movies, once they're out in the theater, in a month, maybe a month and a half, it'll be available to buy or rent online. You know what I'm saying? So there's really no point in rushing to a theater to see a movie unless it's something grand that you want to see on that big screen. But if it's something silly or a dumb, you know, tearjerker movie, no. You can wait. All right, you can fucking wait. And if that pisses off studios and theater owners and stuff, too bad. You got to move with the times. Things change. We don't have blockbusters anymore, except for one. We don't have these things. We don't, you know, things have changed. Eras come to an end. Okay, and the era of the theater, just like the drive-in, is coming to an end. And it has to be for the same reason that a lot of people stop going to places, is it becomes too expensive. You know? So, I mean, the last time I went to the theater, I believe was that Godzilla -1 movie or whatever the hell it was called. That's the last time I gone. All these other movies that came out, no. I ain't interested in spending big money to go watch something, you know, that really you can appreciate at home on your regular TV. Okay? I don't need the special sound and the big fucking screen and all that to watch a couple of jerks on the screen doing dumb things. Okay? I'm sorry. I could watch that on my cell phone if I want. But, yeah, maybe this is the reason why. I mean, if they made more movies that were like what I was saying about to go see, grand films like that, maybe that would encourage people to go to the theater more, okay? But I also think that prices need to come down. They really do. These theaters are overcharging, and especially, Hoyt's over here. Okay, this is Bangor, Maine, not Boston, Massachusetts. Okay, people around here are not going to have that kind of money to throw around at a fucking movie theater. All right, so they're gonna pick and choose, and most of the time you don't see a whole lot of cars over there, you know, for opening night of various films and stuff. I mean, except when it's like say a Star Wars film or or something like Godzilla or something. Maybe then you'll see more people there. But otherwise, you don't really see that many cars over there. So I think whatever movie it is they're showing, most people just aren't eager to go see it in a movie theater. They can wait, to buy it or rent it or however they want to watch it at home. So, yeah, I think that's the thing. But that's what people were saying, that this merger would affect theaters and stuff like that. And I say I don't care if it does or not. Okay, I really don't, because I've really kind of been on a very strict diet with theaters these days. I really don't go to them much anymore now. Plus, when you're watching stuff and you can't pause it so you can, use the bathroom or something like that, I find that annoying. I'd rather be able to watch a film and then stop it, for after an hour of watching it, just to go relieve myself or grab something to eat or a drink, and then come back and keep it going. Okay, I can't sit in a fucking theater for 3 hours or whatever to watch a movie, and they don't have a stop. I mean, they used to put intermissions in films way, way before I was back, but they didn't. They stopped doing that. Okay, and then they started making movies shorter, I guess, as a result. But it's just it's an annoyance, I think, And then plus, you never know who else is in there. They could be laughing and giggling or whatever, Which is why I used to when I go late at night, like the last showing of the evening, because usually nobody's going to be in there, and I'd wait like a week after opening night to go and get a ticket to go see it, because then there won't be as many people, so I don't have to put up with the background noise of people, whispering and whatnot. So yeah, I mean that's one of those things that that annoys me when I go to a movie, and why I don't really go to the theater much. So, what can I say? I really don't know the other points that people are trying to make other points about this merger here that it would affect. But I think at the end of the day, this will happen. People will get used to it. And the result of it may not be as bad as they think it is. Who knows? Okay. They think, costs are going to go up for streaming and all that. Well, they've been going up steadily since it began. Okay, remember Netflix in the beginning, how much it was, per month? Okay, come on. With inflation and everything else going up in price, you knew that was going to happen. So whether this merger happened or not, prices were going to go up anyway on that. It's up to you. I mean, you want to spend all your money at the theater so you won't have any to pay your subscription to Netflix each month, or you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's time for people to start thinking priorities. What's more important to you? Okay? You can't have it all. If you're living on a fixed income, you're going to have to pick and choose what you want, okay, and live with it. Live with your choices, All right, this is an article here that I saw today, and it's from it's Bernie Sanders, and he was giving I guess he was being interviewed, I guess, by NBC News here, and so this from their website, I got this this story here. Bernie Sanders warns that AI could deepen inequality and reshape war. In an interview with NBC News, Senator Sanders explains why he thinks artificial intelligence poses profound risks for American workers and society at large. The robot warriors are coming, and so are the zillionaires, Senator Bernie Sanders independent from Vermont, warned in a wide-ranging interview with NBC News on the rise and risks of artificial intelligence. Quote, "I think we are not all that far away from the development of robotic soldiers," unquote, Sanders said Sunday. Quote, "Right now, politicians, at least sometimes, have to worry about loss of life when they decide to go to war. If you don't have to worry about loss of life, and what you worry about is loss of robots, what does that mean for issues of war and peace globally? It's a big issue," unquote. Sanders is known for his focus on the millionaires and billionaires of the world and how the U.S. government might favor them. In recent months, he's turned his attention to AI, which he says is an extension of his primary concerns about wealth inequality. Quote, "Today, before we have seen the full implications of robotics and AI, you're looking at unprecedented wealth and income concentration," unquote, Sanders said. Quote, "The top 1% of Americans own more wealth than the bottom 93%, unquote, he said. Quote, "All of these zillionaires, the Musks, the Ellisons, the Bezoses, the Zuckerbergs, are investing hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars into AI and robots. What is the result of all that?" unquote. Elon Musk, the CEO of xAI, was just approved to receive a pay package from one of his other companies, Tesla, that could make him the world's first trillionaire. Quote, "It will mean even more wealth and even more political power for these guys at the top while our democracy gets weaker and weaker. Working people will see a significant decline in their standard of living unless we turn this around," unquote. Sanders' focus on AI comes as tech companies have announced historic AI investments and sought to secure goodwill from President Donald Trump. The Trump administration has prioritized ensuring America's AI ecosystem is, quote, "unencumbered by bureaucratic red tape," unquote, to avoid an, quote, onerous regulatory regime, quote, while also keeping many aspects of the Biden administration's AI efforts. Sanders is not the only elected official bringing attention to the issue, with rising interest in AI legislation at both the state and the federal levels. On Tuesday, a House subcommittee met to discuss the safety of AI chatbots. In the interview with NBC News, Sanders said he sees the issue as an urgent matter and hopes to provoke more discussion about AI and its potential impacts on society. Quote, "The folks who have studied this moment are suggesting this ain't just another technological revolution, it is a lot more profound and it's going to move a lot quicker," unquote. With such a fast-moving and general-purpose technology as AI, Sanders sees threats not only to workers but also to larger notions of humanity. Quote, "People are worried that right now many young people, teenagers, are relying on companionship from AI rather than fellow human beings," unquote. Sanders said, quote, "If kids today have AI as their best friends and the people they relate to where they spend most of their time rather than the human beings, what kind of change does that mean for humanity?" unquote. Quote, "We're talking about incredibly deep issues of what it means to be human," unquote, Sanders concluded. Quote, "This issue needs enormous discussion and I hope we can provoke some of it," unquote. Sanders will hold a town hall with, quote, "Godfather of AI," unquote, and Nobel laureate Geoffrey Hinton on Tuesday night at Georgetown University to discuss AI's trajectory, including its effect on workers. Quote, "People who know a lot more than I do about this, people like Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Dario Amodei, they're talking about massive job dislocation," unquote, Sanders said. Quote, "Musk recently said that AI and robots will replace all jobs, working will be optional," unquote. But, quote, "But what the hell does that mean if it's going to replace all jobs? If I'm a factory worker today, if I'm working in an office, how am I going to feed my family? How am I going to pay the rent? Who was talking about that?" unquote, Sanders added, also referencing recent claims from Anthropic CEO Amodei that AI could eliminate half of all entry-level white-collar jobs and increase unemployment as high as 20% in the next 1 to 5 years. Quote, "There has been far too little discussion among the American people in the media and certainly in Congress about the implications of AI and robotics, unquote. In October, Sanders released a report on AI and led a hearing on AI's potential to support American workers and family. He's also proposed a limited set of policies that he says could help address some issues posed by AI, including increased employee ownership of companies, a reduced work week, and even a potential robot tax on large corporations using, quote, the revenue to improve the lives of workers who have been harmed, unquote. Sanders has also proposed that leading American AI company OpenAI should be broken up given its size. In his interview with NBC News, he said his call, quote, was more general, unquote, than just OpenAI and meant to implicate several of America's largest AI companies. Quote, when I talk about breaking these companies up, I mean creating a situation where this new technology is designed to benefit ordinary people, not just designed by a handful of billionaires to make them richer, unquote, he said. Quote, I don't have a blueprint in my back pocket here because nobody has ever had to deal with this reality, but the idea that a handful of multi-billionaires can determine the future of humanity seems a little bit crazy to me, unquote. Sanders is also criticizing growing efforts by American venture capitalists and deep pocket donors to create super PACs designed to lobby against AI regulation. Quote, you've got people who are suggesting that it's almost anti-religious, the Antichrist, to be demanding regulation of AI and robotics right now, unquote, he said, obliquely referencing recent speeches by Silicon Valley stalwart Peter Thiel. In one of these lectures, Thiel said, quote, in the 21st century, the Antichrist is a Luddite who wants to stop all science, unquote. Quote, it almost takes you back to the 1700s and the monarchies throughout Europe, unquote, Sanders said. Quote, some of these big tech guys think that they have a God-given right to rule the world, and the idea that a Congress or ordinary citizens might object to what they are doing, they see as something that is unacceptable, unquote. Quote, so they will put unlimited amounts of money into super PACs to elect candidates who will allow them to do whatever they want. It's very dangerous, unquote. Asked about increasing cooperation between leading American AI companies and the U.S. military, Sanders highlighted growing concerns about privacy. Quote, how far away are we from a small number of people having access to the email that you've sent out, every phone call that you've been on, really every aspect of your life? We're not far, unquote. Quote, either we're there right now, or we certainly assume we'll be there. That gives the people on top extraordinary control when they have that knowledge, unquote, he said. Sanders joins a growing number, a bipartisan group of national politicians focusing on AI. Some, like Senator Josh Hawley, Republican from Missouri, have targeted the societal impacts of AI. Hawley has recently proposed several AI-related bills, including an effort to limit minors' access to chatbots, a push to better track AI-related layoffs, and a mechanism to evaluate AI models' abilities. Others, including Senators Elizabeth Warren, Democrat from Massachusetts, and Jim Banks, Republican from Indiana, have proposed bills targeted the export of American AI technology and hardware to China. For his part, Sanders is hoping his voice can help advance the conversation. Quote, I see growing awareness, but I don't think Congress is moving anywhere near fast enough, unquote, he said. Okay, so feedback from that. Let me say here, with all respect to Bernie Sanders, whom I love, okay? I love this guy because he's always been on point when it comes to, you know, the wealth gap in this country and the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer. Okay, all respect to Bernie Sanders. I don't think now is the time to come down on AI right now with this, because if you don't have a government behind you that's willing to listen, okay, and Trump's not going to listen, not to this. If this is government's not going to listen, then you're going to be sitting on this, you know, and it's never going to get done. It's never going to get taken care of. No one will listen to you. No one's ever going to even sit down and have a conversation with you about this. And since the Senate is controlled by the Republicans and the Congress is in the Republicans' hands and the Justice Department is in the this is not the time. Okay, what is the time right now is getting rid of that son of a bitch in the White House. Okay, we need to focus our energy and our fucking money and all our efforts in getting him out, because he's doing more damage to this country in the last year than AI ever could in 10 years. Okay, he's putting people out of work. AI hasn't really done that, not to his scale. Okay, he's been putting people out of work. He's been taking people out of this country, okay, and planting them on in foreign soil. That man is more dangerous to this country than AI is right now. Right now, AI is in its infancy, okay, and people are just cogitating on what things they can use it for, okay. And yes, there is a potential that it can cause people to lose their jobs, because companies are always focused on efficiency, speed, okay. If it costs them less to have something done because they used a robot or AI, then guess what? They're not going to pay the worker anymore. They're going to say goodbye. We're going to switch to that because it won't cost us anything. All right. That's what you call progress. And progress always comes hard to this country, all the way back to the very first factory that started to use automation there to build cars, okay? Progress always, there's always sacrifice when it has progress. People end up getting lost behind, okay? And as technology advances as quickly as it does, okay, we have to be prepared for those losses in our life. Okay, yeah, go to college, you spend big money to get a white-collar job, and then 10 years later, oops, we don't need you anymore because we got an AI system that's taking your place, and, goodbye. And so, yeah, the world is uncertain right now in a lot of ways. But right now, as far as the United States is concerned, our big priority right now is undoing the shitstorm we created last November. Okay, that's the problem that we need to focus on. And like I said, respect to Bernie Sanders. Okay, he's always seems to be ahead of the curve all the time when it comes to issues that are going to be plaguing us down the road. Problem is most people never really listen to him, and then all of a sudden the shit that he predicted comes true, and here we are. But right now, with things being as they are, I think people in this country and everybody living in it has to worry about the government we have. Because until you get rid of that and you install a government that is willing to work with you on AI or whatever it is, you're not going to make any headway there. Okay? Now, what this ought to be from Sanders is a mission that Democrats or whoever should be taking up from now to get ready for once you get rid of Trump. When he's out of there and we have a new president, okay, then is the time, okay, to talk about AI and things about it, because at that time, the country's going to be damaged and it's going to need to be fixed pretty bad. And in comes AI at that time to fill in the gaps that Trump had created, where people will not get their jobs back. Okay, you see what I'm saying? Some of these people, and especially like, white-collar workers, they won't be able to come back. That the jobs that they lost, that were taken away, will be filled by something else, because the companies will say, I'm not gonna pay workers anymore, a wage and benefits and all that other stuff. Okay, just not gonna do it. And so what needs to happen is, when you have a government that's willing to listen, that's the time to sit down and talk about a more user-friendly kind of AI that works with the country and not against it. Okay, that's what we got to have. I'm not saying AI is bad, okay? Like anything new that comes into our world, there's good and there's bad. The internet certainly had good and bad, okay? We never thought that it would be what it is today when it first was conceived, but here we are. And so I think that, like I said, everything that man creates, there's always some blowback that comes from it. AI will be no different. There's going to be blowback on it, and we'll have to adjust how we live our lives in order to live with it, okay? But this thing about, about robots and stuff like that, and on the combat field, when it comes down to how much per robot it costs the government, I don't know. I would think it would be cheaper just to have people fighting on the ground and hoping they die, so that way you won't have to spend the rest of their life paying them compensation for injuries sustained in a war. But with a robot, it's like you take that person's lifetime and you sum up what you spent on them, and you're going to have to use that just to buy one robot to put on the battlefield. I don't know. I don't think that's something that's plausible. I think we'll have more, fighters that, like drones, okay? We'll have more drones, I think. Automated vehicles, like tanks that don't need anybody driving them or something like that. I think we'll have stuff like that. But as far as, making robots that look like personnel or something like that, I don't think that's possible. Well, at least not feasible. Because you know how the government is, and how the people are about military spending. We don't want to spend more than we have to. If we can win a war without having to overspend, then, we're certainly not going to spend more than we have to. Okay? But sure, we have to keep our military strong and all that stuff, okay? I'm not against that, but I think there's more practical aspects of AI in the military other than making robots on the battlefield, because, once you break down what it would cost to create something and then find out that, it doesn't work because it's, desert climate, or it got sand in the joints, or, or something, okay, it's that's going to be years and years away, I think, before they can do that. Sure, Japan's got these robots that, that show up at conventions and shit like that. But that's in a controlled environment, okay? They're not being asked to carry a gun or do anything like that. You don't know how dependable that thing's going to be. The losses could be enormous because the machines are so easily damaged. Whereas a person, not so much. But, it's just, like I said, right now as it is, AI is basically a computer thing right now. And right now, I think with the government being in the hands of a nut, that's more important to deal with than right now, this AI. So we need to prioritize where we need to be going. I mean, I know Bernie Sanders is worried about things like that, and he should be, because, like I said, he's the one that leads the charge a lot of times on what people should be concerned about for, later on down the road. So, but we have gone through changes like this in the past with technological things, and we've, adapted along the way. And we're going to continue to have to do that even now in the face of AI. So, I don't know, it's up to you to decide, whether you think that that's more important than having a lunatic as a president or whatever, that's up to you. All right, let's go to commercial break. We'll be right back.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Roxy Sugar, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This
is me.
me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you. Original.
Looking for Washington, D.C.'s most glamorous entertainment venue? Look no further than Donald Trump's Jeffrey Epstein Memorial Ballroom. At the Jeffrey Epstein Memorial Ballroom, we specialize in middle school dances, sweet 16 parties, quinceañeras, beauty pageants, foam parties, and so much more. The Epstein Ballroom is Washington's beautiful secret. 90,000 square feet of gold, glitter, and class. Make your event magical with the Epstein Ballroom's Diddy Baby Oil Flume. Join DJ TJ as he DJs all ages shows. And this Christmas season, you can sit on Santa Donnie's lap. Say goodbye to 123 years of history and say hello to the Donald Trump Epstein Memorial Ballroom. At the Donald Trump Jeffrey Epstein Memorial Ballroom, every day is a wonderful secret.
He said it over and over for years.
Can you guarantee that Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security will not be touched?
Yeah, I mean, I have said it so many times, you shouldn't be asking me that question. Medicare, Medicaid, none of that stuff is going to be touched.
Nothing.
We're going to love and cherish Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. We're not going to do anything with that.
His biggest MAGA supporters said no cuts to Medicaid.
It is wrong to cut health care for the working poor.
There's a lot of MAGAs on Medicaid. I'm telling you, if you don't think so, you are dead wrong.
The effect of this bill is to break a promise.
Trump lied.
The Medicaid cuts could cause nearly 12 million people to lose their health insurance.
With this mega bill set to enact the largest cuts to Medicaid in decades, experts are warning that many struggling hospitals in rural communities could close their doors.
But they're not cutting it. They're looking at fraud, waste, and abuse.
He thinks you're stupid and he can fool you. He doesn't care about your health insurance. All he wanted was your vote. Donald Trump. It's just not working.
Some people have a deep, abiding respect for the natural beauty that was once this country. And some people don't. People start pollution. People can stop it. Write for Pollution Booklet, Box 1771, Radio City Station, New York.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it. It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
Welcome back. So, this other item here come out today. Senate Republicans are divided over expiring health care subsidies. Remember when Chuck Schumer and 8 so-called quote-unquote moderate Democrats caved on the federal shutdown last month and got exactly nothing? in exchange for reopening the government, save for a pinky promise that Republicans would take up expiring health care premiums in December? Well, here we are. Yesterday, North Dakota Senator Kevin Cramer said he and his GOP colleagues will, quote, clearly reject, unquote, the Democratic proposal to extend expiring Enhanced Affordable Care Act tax credits for 3 years, leaving us exactly no closer to a resolution than we were when Trump and his MAGA minions shut the government down in October the 1st. Semaphore reports that Republicans are still deeply divided over how to address the expiring credits, despite Obamacare's popularity rising to an all-time high according to new polling. Folks, we must stop sending people to Congress who view health care as a privilege, or this cynical, immoral charade will simply never end. And I agree. And it's also dovetails into what I was saying in the first half of the show here about how we don't have a government right now that's willing to talk about anything that other people would consider that is ominous and important to talk about. Because if they can't even look at healthcare as something that we should have, and they're willing to just put people's lives on the chopping block, what do you think they're going to say to Bernie Sanders when he comes up with this AI problem? Okay, so you have to get rid of what passes for government right now. You got to sweep them out of offices, a house cleaning, whatever you call it. They have to go before you can, do loftier conversations about things about the quality of life. As long as they're in there, we're losing the basics of living in this country, okay? We're having a hard time feeding ourselves. We don't have a hard time paying our bills. Who the hell cares that when you're in that situation about what the fuck a computer will do? Okay, at this point, it's dog eat dog out now, right now. It's crunch time. And we have to stack our priorities like, in triage. Okay, what's the most important? In order to get to this goal that you have, you got to remove the hurdles out of the way to get to it. And one of them hurdles is the government we have right now. That's got to change. That's got to come down in all of its whatever that Trump did to it. It's all got to come down from the top all the way in order to get back what we once had in our country, a democracy. Because right now we don't have that right now. We got a man who thinks he's a king and he does what he wants despite what the Supreme Court says, despite what Congress says, despite what the Senate says. He does what he pleases. Okay? And too many people are willing to just say, yep, we're going to do it. Kissing his ass. And as long as we have that kind of a government right now, we're not going to ever get anything done, to make things easier for Americans. The best thing we need to do right now is to remove the Trump regime out of office, because they are basically the brick wall that we're eventually going to hit no matter what we try to do now. We're eventually going to have to knock it down, just like they did in Berlin, Okay, we're going to have to bring it down in order for our country to be to try to get back to prosperity in America. But I know, the people right now are just, they have a lot of concerns. There's a lot of concerns for a lot of different things these days. And part of the reason that is because we've got a government that has really failed in every level to govern this country. Okay? So, okay, you're going to get a kick out of this story here from the Daily Beast. Titled, MAGA Loses It After Tucker Carlson Buys a New Home in Qatar. Where else, right? This fucking asshole. MAGA mouthpiece Tucker Carlson has ignited a meltdown after revealing the purchased property in Qatar. The former Fox News host appeared at the Doha Forum in Qatar on Sunday, where he interviewed Qatar Prime Minister Mohammed bin Abdulrahman bin Jassim Al Thani and made his real estate revelation. Jesus, what a name. Quote, I have been criticized as being a tool of Qatar, and I just want to say, which you already know, I have never taken anything from your country and don't plan to, unquote, Carlson told the Prime Minister. quote, I am, however, tomorrow buying a place in Qatar, unquote. Oh, God. Yeah. Tucker Carlson, what a buffoon. Okay? I mean, I think what's happened here, maybe he's got the memo. Americans don't like you anymore, Tucker. We don't like you. We don't want you around. So, maybe he's been getting death threats. I don't know. But who knows, okay? But MAGA, I guess, has been talking pretty bad about this, okay? And it's funny, how many of these MAGA people got pissed off when Trump got that airplane there from Saudi Arabia there or wherever. That was all gold on the inside. And that was supposed to be Trump's new Air Force One. Where were these people then? I guess, that's really at the beginning of where people were finding out that Trump was not draining the swamp. He was the swamp, as it were. I mean, he is the swamp. They criticized Obama and Bush for creating the swamp. Well, no. Trump's made a bigger swamp. So, yeah, it's, MAGA is learning a lot, unfortunately, about their party or about the guy that they voted for. They're learning a lot these days. And I have to say, Jesus, if you had been paying attention at all about this man, Trump, and the history about this man, none of this stuff should come to any surprise to you. And all those people who associated with him should not come to any surprise to you about their behavior, what they say, what they do. It should be like, yeah, I saw that coming. Yeah, I saw that coming. Because that's the way the Democrats have been all year long, is that everything that Trump's been doing, we knew it was going to happen. At some point in the year, things were going to happen, okay? We knew this. That Project 2025, which MAGA refused to read, now they're reading it. Now they're fucking reading it. A lot of people have been looking that up now. And it's like, you guys, if you had read it before the election, the results could have been different. But you didn't believe that. You didn't believe that that was something real. You thought that Democrats had put that together. No. Your own people put that together. The Heritage Foundation, the core of the Republican Party, the Heritage Foundation, they put that fucking thing together. And Trump was willing to take that manifesto and implement that as president. Okay? What can I say? You fucked around and you found out, right? This other article from Mediaite, written by Willa Pope Robbins, quote, it's entitled, Republican Representative Brian Fitzpatrick slams his own party's response to healthcare crisis. Doing nothing is not an option. Representative Brian Fitzpatrick, Republican from Pennsylvania, slammed his party over their response to the healthcare crisis on Sunday, telling CNN's Manju Raju, the Republicans, quote, still have not been able to put together an articulable plan that's going to work for everyday Americans, unquote. Fitzpatrick joined Inside Politics with Manu Raju to discuss his recent push to extend Affordable Care Act subsidies before they are set to expire at the end of the year. When asked about pushback from within his own party, Congressman said Republicans, quote, have never offered a better alternative, unquote, to the subsidies already in place. Quote, well, I say that if you don't have a better plan, then get on board with ours, unquote, he said. Quote, but doing nothing is not an option, right? Unquote, he continued. I mean, I've heard so many people in the Republican conference rail on the Affordable Care Act, rail on Obamacare, rail on premium tax credits. And if you want to criticize something, that's okay as long as you have a better alternative. They have never offered a better alternative. We went down this health care path my freshman term. I voted against the repeal of the ACA. I thought the replacement they had was insufficient. It was hastily put together, not well thought out, and here we are. But you know what? 8 years later, and they still have not been able to put together an articulable plan that's going to work for everyday Americans. When asked if Republicans had been sufficiently focused on the issue of health care, Fitzpatrick told Raju, quote, "I don't think they have," unquote. He later expanded his criticism, voicing concern over what his party chooses to prioritize on the House floor. Quote, "I think a lot of our colleagues are frustrated that their legislation has not been brought to the floor. It is a concern that they're missing the opportunity," unquote, asked Raju. Quote, "Yes, and I think it's also a lack of priorities," unquote, said Fitzpatrick. Quote, "Affordability should be the name of the game. Every bill," and I've told leader Stevie Scalise every bill we bring to the floor should be focused on lowering the cost of living for people who need it the most. Not, voting to, condemn the horrors of socialism, but not voting for NIL, name, image, and likeness for college sports. Why are we focusing on that? That's not what our constituents care about. So that's causing a lot of frustration for sure," unquote. The fight over health care is set to continue this week as Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer said he will force a vote on the Democrats' health care plan unveiled on Thursday, though Senate Majority Leader John Thune, Republican from South Dakota, promised to vote on an ACA subsidy extension proposal as part of a deal with Democrats to reopen the federal government. The deal is expected to fail. With the Democrats' plan facing certain doom, Fitzgerald has introduced his own bipartisan plan to cut prescription costs, as have various other groups of moderate lawmakers. Republican leaders are rushing to finalize their own health care plan ahead of their weekly meeting on Tuesday. Well, isn't that the problem he just laid? Where it says Republican leaders are rushing to finalize. Rushing. Well, that's the reason why the guy didn't vote the last time, is because they hurriedly put together some alternative, and he said it wasn't going to work, and he wouldn't vote for it. But here they're trying to do it again, okay? Because the argument about Republicans not having an alternative to the ACA is valid. They never have one. They just want to get rid of it, but they don't want to replace it with anything. They just want to drop everybody in the cold and say, goodbye, we don't have anything for you. We don't have any coats to give you, okay? That's not the way you do things. That's not how you govern. You can't take away something everybody has been using for years and then give them nothing in return. If you drop them, they're going to want something to, to cling to. But they don't want to do that. This isn't about helping out Americans. This has nothing to do with that. This is about creating problems. Creating fucking problems that don't need to be created. But because the Republicans have, up to this point, done a very dismal job at governing and managing this country, clearly, by the time the year's over, we're going to be right back to where we were in October. We're just going to get government shut down, all this crap. We're going to be right back. So I knew this was going to happen, okay? I knew this was going to happen when the Democrats caved, okay? When they caved, because what they caved on, what they think they got, wasn't really worth the paper it was printed on, because Republicans aren't people that these days that honor agreements, okay? You know why? Because they're following Trump's lead. Trump doesn't, he makes agreement, he breaks every fucking promise that he told you last year, that when he was running for president, that he was going to do, broke every fucking promise. And so the Republicans feel like, well, he won the presidency, we'll do the same. So like I said, Republicans not doing their job, not a government that we can go to for our social concerns about AI. Okay, we cannot do anything with these people. What we have to do is remove the virus. Get rid of the virus. Okay? And then we can move on and evolve, as we should. But as long as they stand in the way, we go nowhere. Okay? We go fucking nowhere. And that's the problem. When they say, because somebody used to say, Democrats, DNR, drive or reverse. You put your vehicle in gear and drive, you're going forward. If you want to go reverse, you put it in R. Well, that's really, you know, a good way of describing how the two parties are. Because when it comes to progressive ideas, you always can look to the Democrats to come up with things that can be more efficient or whatever to do, you know, to help people out. But when you got the other side who constantly is pulling the fucking reins on the horse and trying to slow him down and stop him, you know, it's maddening. It really is maddening. It's frustrating, especially when you know that there's issues that need to be addressed and you can't address them because that fucking asshole with the rein, he's pulling on you and you can't go forward. Okay? So, yeah. But that's why I was saying at the, you know, beginning of this show here that, you know, we got a problem here. Yeah, there's a lot of problems, but the big problem, the number one problem, is Trump and his regime. They have got to go because we can't do anything, you know, progressively in this country until that office is gone. All right? Everybody he appointed, everybody that, you know, that's been in his pocket, they all have to go. We got a clean house. I'm sorry if that sounds, you know, drastic, but what is that more drastic than what he's been doing? Think about that. ICE out there, you know, wearing masks, rounding up people. They don't even wear uniforms. Some of them are just wearing like cartoon shirts, you know, and they're driving around in unmarked cars. I mean, does that scare you? Because it should. And I'm talking about getting rid of all that, but you think, oh, can't do that. No, really? You think that's worse than what was going on now? Really? You know, it's like I said in a previous video, when the pendulum has swung so far to one side, you have to swing it back the other way. As far. And the Republicans have pulled that fucking pendulum as far to the right as they could logically take it. It's as far right as it's ever been. Well, now, in order to fix that, you're going to have to let that pendulum swing all the way to the left as far as it can go. Otherwise, the country is just, it's going to be like a car missing a wheel. It's just going to keep wanting to go in one direction all the fucking time, you know, going in circles because it's missing a wheel. This is what you have to understand about the system. I mean, yes, a lot of people are saying that America has been slowly going right-wing over the generations. And I can see that there is some logic to that, because otherwise you wouldn't have idiots like Trump and people like him right now in government. That took a long time to get our country to this place we are today. And it's largely because Democrats didn't pull back as hard as they should have against that momentum to go to the right. But here we are. Okay, and because the left didn't pull hard enough to the left to compensate for what they were doing, this is why we are in this world of shit that we're in now. And until we can get rid of this world of shit, okay, we can't get that, you know, this country back in the right direction. Okay, we got to put that wheel back on that they took off, so our vehicle can go back, so we can go straight again. But you know, this is where we are. I mean, you know, I know it sounds depressing and everything, but I'm stating facts here. You know, I'm stating a reality. It's a thing that a lot of people today just don't want to look at anymore. They don't want to see the reality because it's too ominous, too disheartening. It depresses people, okay? But if you're not given the facts, if you're not exposing yourself to what's happening, how can you fix anything? Okay? If you're driving your vehicle and all the light indicators are coming on, you got problems with your car and you just, no, I don't care. And then all of a sudden your car fails. You know, whose fault is that? It's your fault because you did not see the signs. You refused to fucking acknowledge that there was something wrong with your vehicle. Okay? Life is this way. How do you think we learn how, you know, to read the weather? We learn to read the signs. Okay? To know when to, you know, get indoors, to get your umbrella out, okay, to go underground, you know, for a tornado. We learn to read the signs, and those signs are important. They are the way life communicates to us. And if you shut yourself off from those signs, or you blindly bury your head in the sand so you don't see those signs, then you're doing yourself and a lot of people a disservice. Okay? You're treating yourself unfairly. You deserve better than that. As an adult, you should be more concerned about what's happening than to pretend that everything is fine, because it ain't. It's not right now. The times are not fine. This is not the time to curl up, you know, in bed and pretend that, oh, everything will just work itself out. It doesn't work itself out if nobody does anything about it. It takes people to change things, okay? Yes, it's true. All things come to an end, but that also depends on us when that ends. We can let it ride itself out and get worse till it ends, or we can take steps now to end it sooner rather than later. Okay? We know we can do this. We've done it in the past. We can do it again. But you have to believe in the process of being able to take those steps and do it, because logically, you know, doing nothing is not an option. We're not put on this earth to just sit around and breathe the air and eat food and do nothing. I think if you're a Christian or something, God created us for a purpose, right? I mean, if you're religious, I think that's one of the things they teach you in church, or, you know, we're here for a reason. And we are considered to be the stewards of this planet. And up to now, we haven't done a very good job of showing God we're capable of doing that. So we like to pride ourselves on being able to do things, to create things, you know, make strides and innovation and stuff. But why can't we do, you know, things like, you know, when something bad is going on, you know, get rid of it or stop it? I mean, we do that with the justice. When somebody commits a murder, we put them behind bars. We take steps to protect ourselves from crimes and stuff like that. But in the situation here, where we have a government that's totally corrupt from the top down, no, one person can't fix it, but hundreds of thousands of people can if we work together. Hundreds of thousands of people can change what is, if we want to do it, you know? So, yeah, I mean, I don't know how else to say it. I mean, I think I'm trying to be as frank with everybody as I can, because I don't know how to speak any other way, okay? I feel like, why mince words, really? It's pretty basic. You don't have to be college educated to see the shit happening right now, okay? You don't have to be, all right? So I think that, you know, times are what they are. Reading the signs is important through these tough times. That's how we know when to act and when not to. So anyway, that's it for today. Hope everybody has a great rest of the work week. So subscribe, comment, and share. Keep your ears open for health issues. And people, work together. Be neighborly. Be friendly. Do things together. You know, when somebody you know, or even if you don't really know, but they're neighbors, you know, and they're having difficulties, offer and see if you can help. You know, that's the first steps on how we work as a community. And that's what this country, I think, is really what it's founded on, is people working together for the betterment of all. And it has to go back to that. So I'll talk to you later, everybody.